So this week we're entering really the heart, the central piece of the book of Revelation by getting into the unfolding of the judgments that God brings upon the earth. We open up to chapter 6 and we find once again the one who is bringing these judgments is the Lamb who is introduced to us in chapter 1, who gave his life for the redeemed. Um, he was just described in chapter 5, the Lamb who was slaughtered and is now worthy to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. That Lamb is now the one to begin to unfold judgments. The Lamb begins with these seal judgments that are pronounced one after another. From there, we're going to go to trumpet judgments. There will be bowl judgments in the coming chapters. All of these judgments are either descriptions of the same set of events. They may be sequential one after another. Maybe there's even kind of a layering aspect that happens. There's a bit of a mystery actually around exactly what's going on with the judgments. But one thing is unmistakable: the wrath of the Lamb. In fact, that's even the very phrase that's used in chapter 6. Fall on us, hide us from the face of the one seated on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. The wrath of the Lamb is coming upon the whole world. But as we begin to go through all these judgments, another thing that is unmistakable is that through judgment, we are going to see God's saving mercy. And so we get to even places like chapter 11, where we're going to see this verse. The seventh angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Messiah, and he will reign forever and ever." What is happening through these judgments is God is restoring dominion. The dominion has been under the power of the evil one. Since Genesis 3, the earth has been under the dominion of the enemy. Now in the book of Revelation, we are seeing God reclaiming, reassuming dominion. This has been the long awaited day of the Lord. In fact, I'm going to go back to Isaiah chapter 2 to even see just one example of some of the most ancient works of the Old Testament pointing toward the events that Revelation now describes. In Isaiah chapter 2, verse 11, human pride will be humbled, and the loftiness of men will be brought low. The Lord alone will be exalted on that day. For a day belonging to the Lord of hosts is coming. Against all that is proud, all that is lofty, against all that is lifted up, it will be humbled. Against the cedars of Lebanon, lofty and lifted up. And he goes through and describes these things. So human pride will be brought low, the loftiness of men will be humbled, and the Lord alone will be exalted on that day. The idols will vanish completely. That long awaited day of the Lord is now coming and is being described for us here in the book of Revelation, starting in chapter 6. So, what you'll have in chapter 6 is a series of judgments called seal judgments. But then, as you turn to chapter 7, you get yet another glimpse of redemption, because there in chapter 7 we see the 144,000 of Israel being sealed. You know, that Ephesians 1 idea of being sealed, those redeemed ones being sealed by the Messiah. And then from there, the second half of the chapter describes a vast multitude from every nation, tribe, people, and language, all before the throne, before the Lamb. They're worshiping and giving him glory. And at the center of it all, in verse 17, the Lamb who's at the center of the throne will shepherd them. He will guide them to springs of living waters. God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. And so, even in the midst of judgment, we have this compelling call of the gospel, this compelling call to redemption. We're going to be celebrating communion, the Lord's table, this weekend as we read through even this couple of chapters about judgment, because Jesus the Messiah, Jesus the Lamb who is bringing the wrath, is the Lamb who is simultaneously calling people to himself to offer forgiveness, the forgiveness of all their sins, because he was slaughtered for us. As you have discussion in your connection groups, and as you encounter maybe some people who have some pushback to the idea of a loving God coming in such ferocious judgment, I beg you to get into the discussion about sin. Often when we think too fiercely or have too much pushback to the judgment of God, it's because we're thinking too little of our sin. We don't understand the consequence of our sin before a holy God. So reestablishing, wow, what is sin and why is it right for God to come in just judgment upon the world? Um, and how awesome is it that through it all, he is still calling people to himself, offering freedom from judgment. That very one coming in wrath is the one to rescue us. Um, yeah, just rehearsing again the beautiful gospel that saves, I think will be our task as Connection Group leaders. So um, enter into these very sometimes dark, often dark chapters of judgment, but with the glory of the Lamb at the center through it all. And may the Lord bless you as you lead his people through understanding this incredible book of Revelation.